everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Kelsi Sheren Perspective, and I am here to share our Substack, our MAID series, and all of the other awesome things we're discussing on the show. But most importantly, before we get into it, if you guys could go over to our YouTube or Spotify, over to our Substack and subscribe. You can do it all for free, and it helps us. Sharing our clips, sharing what we do makes a monumental difference. Go check out our amazing sponsors behind us. You've got Good Living, Row, Ketone IQ, and XXXY. All of them for people I've worked with for a very long time and have graciously given us some savings for our listeners just down in the bio below. So let's get right into it, guys. You know I speak about MAID, but do you guys really know the numbers? Do you guys know what's happening in the country? Do you understand that this is not just a Canadian problem any longer? This is also an American problem. Don't mind him. He's nosy. So it is an option for no longer just the terminally ill. So let's talk about this rapid expansion and the disturbing trend we are seeing. I have said it before. I will say it again. The rise of the euthanasia deaths in this country should not only alarm you, well, frankly, it should alarm everybody. And if it doesn't, it's because it hasn't touched you yet. So give it time, because I do promise you, with the legalization and the push for 2027 to be not only the terminally ill and track 2, but also to be those, to have the option for those with just mental illness. So let's talk about what that means. For mental illness is depression, mental illness is bipolar, mental illness is schizophrenia, and mental illness is post-traumatic stress disorder. Mental illness are things you can heal from. And now we're looking at expansion all the way to things like eating disorders, things that you can 100% heal from, move through, and most often than not come through some form of childhood trauma or trauma that has been not looked at, hasn't been acknowledged, or hasn't been treated. So let's get into the rise, because in 2016, the euthanasia deaths were quite low, and that's because it just legalized then. And in 2023, we had 15,343 people end their lives with the MAID program. Now, that's 4.7% of all deaths in Canada are MAID deaths. That's 1 in 20. So that's 20 people in a room. That's 20 people in a room. Now take one of them. That person is going to die by MAID. That's terrifying. That's euthanasia. That's when the doctor comes in, puts the IV in your arm, and says, "See you later. Thanks for joining us for however long you were here," and ends your life. And since this program's inception, nearly 77,000 Canadians have died by MAID. And these are not cold stats. Each number, every single number represents a human life. Those in whom were struggling with some very simple issue, but not always with physical pain, not with mental pain, but with desperation and loneliness and financial instability. The numbers break down like this per province. Ontario reported 4,957 euthanasia deaths in 2024. That was up from 4,641. Quebec had 6,058 deaths in 2024, and that's a massive increase of 6.5% from the 5,691 in 2023. And Alberta recorded just over 1,000 deaths in 2024, and that's up from 977 in 2023. And since this program, there has been 77,000 Canadians that have died. 77,000. Those are mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles. These are people you see at the grocery store. These are people you see when you drop your kid off. These are supposed to be loved ones who were coerced into this fast and painless death, which we now know is a flat-out lie. Death has become a solution for social suffering, a solution for the healthcare burden, or the too expensive for Canada to look after due to their mass immigration and the inability to look after the actual people born in this country in the first place. Now, the thing that is alarming, and I want people to understand as to why we speak about this so often and so frequently, is because these are not all terminally ill. Hell, these are barely terminally ill. These are people who are experiencing poverty and homelessness, mental illness, and social isolation. And some of the top 3 things that are listed on the qualifying factors as to why people are choosing MAID in the first place are loneliness, isolation, and lack of purpose. Furthermore, 96% of those choosing it in Canada happen to be white. Interesting stat I'd like to dive into a little bit later. But reports are emerging of Canadians that are seeking death because they cannot afford housing. or adequate medical care. So let's take a look at this just election that just happened. Housing was one of the largest conversations for a reason. If people are choosing to die because they can't get housing, we need to stop pulling in as many people in this country as we are. That is a massive problem. And if nobody sees that, clearly they're not looking. Parents, you need to be very aware of how this could impact your children, because the looming expansion in the euthanasia for the mentally ill and minors, or what our government calls mature minors. Frankly, that's the most outrageous term I've ever heard. Mature minors doesn't actually have an age attached to it, friends. No, no, no. This is a doctor deciding that your kid is mature enough to make the decision to die. They don't need your consent, nor do they even tell you they're going to do it. A great case of this is WV and MV in Alberta, an autistic daughter who at the age of 27 applied for MAID, qualified, apparently somehow with no illness at all other than being autistic. And her father, WB, and mother fought back, were able to get it stopped. Only to very recently, and I mean just as a couple weeks ago now, we are May 8th, a couple weeks ago was just reapproved for MAID, and this girl does not qualify. I'd also like to see Danielle Smith step in and understand that in her province, somebody is about to be killed who does not qualify, which could open their government and other places in the country to lawsuits. I mean, how can you guys not see that this kid does not qualify? Yes, it takes, I don't know, not going to school and being brainwashed to understand that. But who am I, right? So as if the current numbers were not enough, Canada is set to expand, like we said, to assisted dying, to solely suffering from mental illness and even mature minors under the age of 18. Those battling severe depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, will be able to apply up for state-sanctioned euthanasia instead of receiving what every Canadian who pays into the taxpayer system should be having: mental health support. I know those are terms that we no longer acknowledge are healthcare options. We go death instead of wait. We have mental health support and psychiatry and ways to treat people. Nah, let's kill them. It's so much easier. It's just so much easier. So this is what's wild. When we start to look at things like mature minors, you've heard me say this before. Where have we heard this term over the past 5 years? Oh, the liberal agenda of the trans movement and ideology. Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Row Nutrition. If you guys have not heard of them, please stop what you're doing right now. Go over to their website at Row Nutrition and take a look, because you guys know more than ever, I care so deeply about my mental well-being, my physical, and my TBIs. I do everything I can to look after my body, whether that's cold plunge, ketones, or otherwise. But Row Nutrition is my newest additive, and I have to tell you, I am feeling like money. Let's talk about it. If you're struggling with brain fog, you are slower to recover at times, and you're feeling more down, even if you feel like you're doing everything right, like I was doing, this is what you need. Let's talk about why. The reality is, when you hit your 30s, I'm going on 36, your body's NAD levels, a critical molecule that fuels your energy, recovery, and brain clarity, they drop by half, nearly half. No wonder we're all burnt out. And that's exactly why I partner with them. They use a liposomal NAD. And let me be completely straight up with you and honest, it's incredible. Normally, you need to go and get NAD IVs for this result, but not with Row. I am experiencing sustained clean energy, sharper focus, which we all need, and faster recovery. I don't have any jitters. I don't have any crashes. And this is an energy like others that keep me performing my best. It's critical. Let's talk about NAD in general. It fuels your mitochondria. If you guys don't remember high school science, that's what we're talking about. That is the powerhouses in your cells responsible for your energy and clarity. And like I said before, the only real way to get it before was really expensive, uncomfortable, which I've done, IV treatments. But Row Nutrition has completely changed the game with their new technology. No needles, no downtime, just maximum absorption and results. I have felt the change, and you guys know I only use products that I actually use. So I want you guys to go and give this one a try. It's risk-free. So it is backed by their 60-day money-back guarantee. And I believe in this enough to give you guys 20% off. So go head over to rownutrition.com/discount/Kelsi20 and use your code Kelsi20 at checkout. Now, the one thing I want you to understand is that when you do this, you're not just doing this for you.
You're doing this for everyone else around you, because when you feel good, others around you start to feel just as good as well. So go check them out. And brought to you by Ketone IQ. If you guys have not heard or seen me drinking these little bottles right here, you have been missing out. These guys right here are single-handedly the biggest part of my routine. Outside of the functional mushrooms, the movement, the sleep, the hydration, Ketone IQ is a number one most important tool that I use in my toolbox. And let me tell you why. If you guys have never experienced runner's high, give this a try. That flow state, it is for real. Ketones are a uniquely powerful macronutrient that can cross the blood-brain barrier, and they increase the brain energy efficiency. And every time you take a Ketone IQ, you're going to notice the radical boost in performance, endurance, and just focus in general. For me, I use this when I road bike, when I run. As a mother, instead of using caffeine after 12 o'clock, I go and grab a ketone. More importantly, I use it before I podcast, before I do keynotes or anything important in my life. You will see a ketone in my bag, on the table, or anywhere near me. So do yourself a favor. Once you're done listening to this awesome episode of the Kelsi Sheren Perspective, go on over to the website partner.ketone.com/Kelsi. You're going to save, go grab yourself a subscription so you never miss out and you always have the energy you need. And brought to you by XXXY Athletics. You guys can check them out at xx-xyathletics.com and make sure you use the code Kelsi20. That will help you save. I'm so excited to be a new ambassador of XXXY. I absolutely love what they stand for, and I'm proud to work with them because they are founded on truth, dedication to quality, and they are built for style and performance. Women deserve the opportunities that sports and single-sex spaces provide, because sex matters at the end of the day. It is the single biggest determinant of athletic performance, and it's completely unfair and dangerous, as most of you know, to allow males who are XY chromosome to compete with girls and women who are XX in sports. You guys can share your stories just by doing the hashtag workout speak out. Tag myself, Kelsi_Sheren, and the XX_XY athletics on Instagram, and we will share everything. We need to get fit and speak our minds, mobilize into a force that fights back for women's sports. So start fighting. The way that you do that is go to XX-XY athletics, go use the code Kelsi20 at checkout, slap on that gear, signal to the world that you are done allowing others to walk into female spaces. I believe in this brand. I believe in the mission. I believe in what they do. So go grab some now. Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Good Living. I am so excited to tell you about something that's become such a meaningful part of my wellness routine, Good Living. Now, this isn't any brand. This is actually a brand I know all of the owners behind. And let me tell you, their integrity, their dedication, and their quality is the real deal. Their microdosing and functional blends are crafted with intention, and you can feel it. Everything is tested and made to support you in tapping into your own rhythm. We're talking about blends for anxiety, depression and stress, ADHD, brain health, inflammation, sleep, and energy. Seriously, they have thought of everything possible. I know firsthand how much love they pour into every single product. So if you're ready to check them out and explore more, go to itsgoodliving.com. And trust me, it's a journey worth taking. That's itsgoodliving.com, itsgoodlivin.com. And make sure to use the code BRASS and get 20% off your first order today.
This is no different, guys. These social contagions will end up with your kid killed. So when they used to say to you, well, I would rather a dead daughter than an alive son, or an alive son over a dead daughter, this is the same slippery slope. This is the same fall into where society thinks that they can't push back or protect their children. This is the same problem. The only difference is they won't kind of maybe say that your child might die. They will for sure die in this program, because that's literally what it's designed for. The rapid expansion of Canada's euthanasia program raises deeply disturbing ethical questions. How many of these deaths could have been prevented if proper social and medical support were in place? Is suffering or offering euthanasia to the vulnerable individuals truly an act of compassion, or is it just state-sanctioned abandonment? I think it's murder. At this point, does the line blur between voluntary euthanasia and cultures and pressures to end their own lives? Is this something that we should continue doing? Obviously not. The answer is no, but apparently some of you needed to be prompted with this question is you cannot understand that our society, it's not about my body, my choice. It's about the slow drip. It's about the understanding that this is not about giving you the right to choose, like some liberal talking point. This is very obviously a slow drip campaign to get rid of Canadians, the hard earning, tax paying, born and raised in Canada. Otherwise, why is 96% of it white people from Canada using it? We don't see the immigration population using it. And that's because these people treat their people different. Grandma stays home. We don't put them in nursing homes. But for some reason, we seem to do this to our own people. We tell them they are a burden. We tell them that they're too financially expensive. We tell them that they're too difficult to look after. And I say to that, bullshit. Do better. We have to say to our healthcare system that this cannot be your answer to healthcare. The answer to healthcare is not to kill you. The answer to healthcare should be compassion and treatment and support, not telling you secretly when your loved ones are not in the room. Have you heard about MAID? When you dangle the carrot of suicide, we know more people will use it. Take the Bloor Street Bridge and the Luminous Vale as a great example. Dr. Joel Zivit and I have spoken about this several times. All I'm asking you, if we are telling people they have the right to die, why are we not telling them they have the right to live? Why are we pushing them towards continued death? Why are we saying that this is the only option? Why are we not grabbing them and saying that this needs to change? We can support you. And it's because we don't actually want people to live. We want people to die because it's so much easier on the healthcare system. And again, this is not just an opinion. This is what's happening. These are the numbers. These are the statistics that you guys are all turning away from. You are unwilling to see. It's hard to look in the dark. I hear you. I'm in it all day. But sometimes you have to walk into the dark and brighten it up. Be the light. Show them they don't have to die. Show them that they can live. And I firmly stand by the statement that this sharp increase is not just a statistic, but it is a glaring example of a deeply unwell society. So instead of questioning, how do we get more people to die? We should start looking at why is that what Canada is choosing as its way to heal its society. That's all I'm saying, guys. It's wild to watch the increase, and it's wild to watch everybody just go about like it's not happening. Furthermore, the United States is expanding, and they are expanding rapidly. And so we have spoken with the State Department and other people in America trying to get them to see what is happening in their own country. We have reached out to the biggest podcasters in the globe and said, why aren't you talking about this? Why aren't you having this conversation? Because if you have the platform, you can sound the alarm the same way you did during the COVID time, during anything else. This is no different. It's time we speak up and show people that they do not have to die, nor do they have to be a burden. And for those Republicans that keep voting for this in the United States, we know your names. We're talking about you. Maybe stop voting to kill your citizens. That would be a great place to start. And if you guys like this one, please go subscribe. Like I said at the beginning, check out the sponsors and go give us a like and a follow. You don't have to pay. You don't have to drop any money. But what you can do is share the content. And when you share the content, you not only educate, but you give others an opportunity to learn something new. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you all there.